Hi everyone and Merry Christmas. It's December 2018 and I have updated an airport for, well, it feels like the 10th time, but I think it's only the third time after the initial update I did and then later adding ground vehicles and so on. Of course, this is the busiest airport of the world, Atlanta in Georgia, and this update is for Explain version 11, not 30. It's not going to make 30, but it will be in one of the next updates to explain that inject more gateway airports. I have spent considerable time on this, and if you compare it to the version that is currently in Explain, you will probably see the enhancement. And I've not only added all the assets that have come available with the recent updates to Explain, like new lines, new ground painted signs, of course, the great terminal kit, and also the um, jetway facades that allow for more flexible jetways. And Atlanta is a huge airport, and that's why it took me actually longer to do this update than it took me to bring it to the previous level. I didn't have to touch the taxiways, I just touched them up where they were updated or not accurate enough. But just adding the terminal kit was taken a lot of time. And if you compare the terminals to pictures that you get from Google Earth, especially with a 3D view, you will see that I have tried to emulate the real terminals as closely as possible, including pipes on the roof, including air conditioning on the roof, and so on. Atlanta is also the airport, I'm not sure, I'm just guessing here, with the most parking spaces for cars in the world. It certainly felt that way while I was doing it. I decided to not take the default parking lot facade, which adds cars automatically, but instead hand placed the lines of cars and tried to also make the taxi or the parking lots fit in well with the default roads, because I think that's always a nice effect that you get the cars traveling on the roads. And of course, I had to cut away a little bit of the real parking lot here and there because the roads, the default roads, are not 100% accurate to real roads. I went over all the ground markings at the parking positions, really replicating what's there in real life. And you can see that this adds a nice realism, but of course it took a long time. I also added signs that denote the parking spot labels so that you can navigate the airport a little easier. Now we can add tunnels and gates or passageways to our buildings, which greatly increases the realism, and the ground trucks can now travel the way they do in real life, passing through the buildings or going into the buildings, especially to drop off cargo or suitcases and stuff like that. I also enhanced the airport where it was rebuilt, or where it was extended in recent years. There was an extension here to the threshold of 27 right, and you can see that I also added the ground markings and these new nice green areas that come in very handy at many airports, especially in the US, where they like to paint non-movement areas that way. The runways were updated very slightly, just a few centimeters, maybe up to a meter here and there, to exactly fit the official FAA data. And I also moved the ILS components, most notably the localizers, to exactly fit these new positions so that you come down exactly on the center line as you follow the ILS. And this update will be in a future update to explain, so don't expect that to work quite yet. Night lighting was updated, mostly making it a little less bright. And while this makes it a little more or a little tougher to see what's going on, I feel it's a lot more realistic. And as I fly into big airports like this in real life, I often feel that the lighting could be a little brighter, but of course that's not always possible. The new terminal kit adds very nice lighting as well. It's not really lighting up the surroundings, but it looks nicer. It looks more like a lit building, especially with the ceiling there, the roof objects. You can see that there in the picture on the right side. And that's the way that real terminals look too. And of course the ground trucks, they've been there before, but they light up the environment dynamically as well, which gives a nice effect. I spent considerable time on making the airport blend in with the autogen scenery, surgically cutting some roads or some settlements here and there to allow the airport to fit, but always taking care not to cut away too much so that it looks like it's part of the environment, which most airports really blend in with their surroundings. As I said before, this airport is not available in 1130. It will be available in one of the future updates. If you absolutely can't wait to try it out, then you can download it from the Scenery Gateway, but you should know what you're doing, and especially do not forget to delete it again once it's part of the regular explain scenery, because if you don't, then you will not take advantage of any possible future enhancements that will be done to this airport, because your downloaded airport would always suppress these automatic enhancements. And that would be a shame, although I hope that I don't have to visit this airport again too soon. After all, there are like 30-some thousand airports still waiting to get enhanced and brought up to this level, and I'm already working on the next one. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I again wish you a Merry Christmas, and hope that you enjoy Explain as much as I do.